Hey folks, I'm Jaxsun. Today we're going to touch on some of the changes that are coming for Havoc with the 9.15 content changes. Overall, with 9.15, we've seen a lot of reworking by Blizzard as far as AoE cap removal goes, and a lot of abilities have been adopted more of a soft capped approach here, but it's a major encouragement, and Havoc's going to be in an even better spot going into 9.15. The abilities that Havoc gets uncapped are going to be Blade Dance, so we're going to be able to hit more than 5 targets. Glaive Tempest, being able to hit up to 5 targets and then reduce damage beyond that. And then Fell Barrage, being able to damage 8 targets and then reduce damage beyond that. Fell Barrage still isn't super popular just because it takes that extra GCD, but we'll touch on that here in a few minutes. From a recommended build for Mythic Plus, you're going to roll with what's on the screen here. So we're going Fell Blade and Demon Blades for tier 1 and 2. We're kind of moving away from the Blind Fury Burning Hatred build, and that's really tied to our choice down here on tier 7. So we're moving away, like the kids in trade chat like to say. We're going to Momentum because that's for the Zoomers. Demonic is now for the Boomers. So overall, this is a momentum-based build. Tier 7, we're going with momentum specifically. Tier 6, it's up to you from a utility perspective. I usually prefer to have the on-demand stun, but each of these abilities has their utility. Tier 5, we're seeing a rather substantial change, and it's a really welcome change in terms of adding Essence Break and giving us Demon Hunters one more button to click. Basically being able to buff your Chaos Strike and Blade Dance by 40% is going to make a huge difference, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Tier 4, you've kind of coming down to two choices. Soul Rending is probably the default go-to, just being able to complement our survivability, but if you do need any kind of like major immunity, Demon Hunter can go with the Nether Walk that you see there. Tier 3 is Unbound Chaos exclusively. The other two builds aren't necessarily there yet, but keep an eye on some of the buffs here. Trial of Ruin, basically looking for that additional dot that's there. It's not competitive with Unbound Chaos yet, but I think Blizz is going to continue to do some last minute tweaks here to the class builds as we get in. Again, like we said, Tier 2 is going to be Demon Blades, Tier 1 Fell Blade. So we're going to be sticking to our opponents pretty tight overall. And that kind of fits with our playstyle and kind of where Demon Hunter was more designed to be initially, a really fast-paced class. So we kind of talked about the reduced area of effect ability limitations. There's also some changes coming to Covenants that we should briefly touch on. On the Venthyr side, so Sinful Brand, which is the Venthyr ability, that cooldown's been reduced to 45 seconds. It was 1 minute. And what's kind of interesting, and I'm going to borrow this data here that's shared up on the Wowhead page. Venthyr is making up about a fifth of all the different Demon Hunters that are out there. And you can see like the breakdown by Soulbind, by the vast majority. Everyone's going with Nagia, the Mistblade. But back to like what's important here. Blizz is trying to buff and really increase that throughput event there, and I think we're going to see a few more Havoc Demon Hunters as a result of that. A few more Venthyr Havoc Demon Hunters, I should say. There's a slight change here for Kyrian Demon Hunters like me. Basically, the Kyrian Rune Carving power now grants 1% Verse. It was 1% Mastery, so slight increase there because Verse is a lot more valuable for us than Mast. And it provides 10 Fury when lesser soul fragments are consumed when Blind Faith is active. So that's okay. That's a generally complicated buff there, so pretty minor. There was a conduit improvement. Basically, there was an issue with Lost in Darkness, and basically it's allowing the conduit wasn't improving as its higher ranks were being added in, so you should see that addressed now. Specifically around the Havoc conduits, Dancing with Fate, the conduit itself, its damage been buffed by 300%. So overall, that's a pretty substantial improvement for us and our blade dancing ways. Additionally, the Dancing with Fate conduit didn't increase the damage of Final Slash from Death Sweep. So we're going to see that all of this materially change here in the next little bit. Overall, we're in a pretty good spot. Those were all buffs. The only real nerf that we're seeing specific to Demon Hunters is actually tied to Night Fae, and I think it's Blizz trying to balance the Covenants, if anything. Now, the Night Fae ability, the Hunt, it basically can now be removed with player immunities. So probably more relevant for PvPs, but if you're applying the Hunt and then you're either planning on nether walking or you're in the PvP world, watch out, because that can now be dropped either by yourself or by your opponents. So keep that in mind. But overall, Havoc's in a great spot. It's only going to get more fun going into 9.1.5 here, and I'm really pleased with the changes that Blizzard's bringing. Alright folks, that's it. Drop it down in the comments. Again, I'm Jax. Thanks for checking out the video this far, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.